Have you ever noticed how the people who hurt you the most were often the ones you swore were different? How you convinced yourself that what you felt in your gut was just fear, not intuition. You wanted to see goodness, so you painted it where it wasn't. You wanted to feel safe, so you stayed even when your soul whispered, leave. It's strange, isn't it, how love blinds not our eyes, but our awareness. We read energy long before we understand it, yet we silence that quiet knowing because we don't want to believe it. We say things like, maybe they're just tired, or maybe I'm overreacting, but deep down, a part of you knew the way their kindness had edges, the way their words felt hollow when the room went silent. You saw the truth in their tone, their timing, their indifference masked as calm. But you looked away, not because you were weak, but because you loved your illusion more than you trusted your perception. We live in a world that tells us to see the good in everyone. Yet, what if true kindness is not about refusing to see darkness, but about recognizing it without hate? The truth is, not everyone is kind. Not every gentle word is sincere. Not every soft soul is safe. And that realization hurts. Not because it breaks our trust in others, but because it forces us to see where we've betrayed our own intuition. But awareness, no matter how painful, is a form of freedom, because once you see clearly, you can no longer be deceived, not by others and not by your own longing. And that perhaps is where real peace begins. The subtle signs of pretended kindness. It often begins so softly that you don't even notice it. The performance of kindness, the kind that smiles in public but stings in private, the kind that listens only to reply, helps only to be seen helping, loves only to be needed. These are the people who wrap their ego in empathy, who use gentleness as a tool to disarm, not to connect. And yet, because you see depth in everything, you mistake performance for presence. You tell yourself they're just guarded, complicated healing, like you. But somewhere in the quiet corners of your awareness, something feels slightly off. It's not their words, it's the vibration underneath them. The way their kindness always needs to be witnessed. The way their care feels conditional, as if it's being tallied in invisible ink. True kindness doesn't seek recognition. It's silent, effortless, and free. But pretended kindness always leaves a trace of tension in the air. You can feel it when you walk away, that faint, draining exhaustion that doesn't make sense. It's the soul's way of saying, something is not aligned here. Yet most of us ignore that signal because we don't want to be judgmental. We confuse awareness with arrogance and sensitivity with cynicism. So, we stay quiet. We give second chances. We spiritualize their behavior. We say things like, everyone's doing their best, and even when our intuition whispers, but they're not. You've met them, the ones who are kind when eyes are watching, but indifferent when they're not. The ones who offer advice not from compassion, but from the desire to feel superior. The ones who give, not to nurture, but to control the narrative. Pretended kindness has a rhythm. It appears generous but carries an undercurrent of self-interest. And when you're spiritually awake, that current feels loud. Sense when love has an agenda, when empathy is transactional, when help is simply another form of manipulation. The most painful part is not discovering that someone's kindness was false. It's realizing how deeply you wanted to believe it was real. Because belief is comfort. It gives your heart something to hold on to when the world feels uncertain. You told yourself that seeing the good in them was love, but sometimes seeing clearly is love too. It's a quieter kind, a kind that no longer needs illusions to stay soft. There's a moment, maybe you felt it, when you're talking to someone and their tone changes ever so slightly. Their eyes go dull, their smile becomes mechanical. It's in that instant your intuition flinches. It's not fear, it's recognition. You're seeing who they are beneath the mask. And though you might laugh, nod, or continue the conversation, Part of your soul has already stepped back. It knows. It always knew. Pretended kindness reveals itself in patterns, in the way they disappear when you're in need, but appear when they need praise, in how they give advice but never truly listen, in how they make you question your worth when you set a boundary. True kindness makes you feel seen. False kindness makes you feel indebted. True kindness gives peace. False kindness drains your light. But here's the paradox. Those who are spiritually sensitive often ignore these signs, not because they don't see them, but because they empathize with the pain behind them. You tell yourself they're just wounded. You imagine that if you love them deeply enough, they'll heal, and their kindness will become real. But love doesn't transform what was never true. It only reveals what already is. You cannot turn ego into empathy by loving it harder. You cannot turn pretense into truth by giving it your forgiveness. Compassion is sacred, but without discernment, it becomes self-destruction. The universe doesn't ask you to judge others. It asks you to see them clearly, to understand that not every soul vibrates in harmony with yours. And that's not cruelty, that's clarity. The first sign of someone's true nature is the consistency of their compassion. Watch how they treat the ones who cannot serve them. Notice how they speak when no one is listening. Observe how they handle your boundaries. Do they honor them, or do they push against them with soft guilt? People reveal themselves not in grand gestures, but in the quiet spaces where attention fades. You may not always be able to explain it logically, but your energy recognizes. Authenticity before your mind can define it. That uneasy feeling you get around certain people isn't paranoia. It's perception. It's your consciousness trying to protect your peace. You are not made to walk through life mistrusting everyone, but you are also not meant to blindfold your intuition for the sake of being kind. Not everyone who smiles at you has warmth in their heart. Not everyone who helps you has love in their intent. And realizing that doesn't make you cold, it makes you conscious. Because pretending that everyone is good doesn't make the world more loving, it only makes you more vulnerable to deception. Real love begins where illusion ends. So the next time you sense that quiet discomfort around someone, don't rush to dismiss it. Don't drown it in logic or guilt. Just pause, observe. The energy you feel is the truth you've been avoiding, and maybe, just maybe, that gentle whisper inside you is not fear, but freedom trying to speak, the energy of truth. There's a language older than words, a language your mind forgets, but your soul still remembers. It speaks through silence, tension, vibration, through the feeling in the air when someone walks into a room. You've felt it before, haven't you? That sudden heaviness, that inexplicable unease, that shift that happens when someone's presence doesn't match their smile. You can't explain it, you just know something isn't right. It's not paranoia. It's your intuition reading what your mind refuses to see. Every being emits an energy, an invisible truth that leaks through tone, eyes, pauses, and gestures. You can pretend not to notice, but your body always does. The way your chest tightens when they speak, the way your thoughts scatter after spending time with them, the way your peace feels slightly bruised, even though nothing bad happened. That's not overthinking. That's awareness trying to protect itself. Words can be rehearsed, emotions can be faked, but energy never lies. You can tell. When someone's soul vibrates with authenticity and when it echoes with emptiness, you feel it when someone listens not to understand but to collect information. You sense it when their compliment sounds right but feels wrong. You notice it in their laughter, how it reaches the mouth but never touches the eyes. The second sign of someone's true nature is how your energy responds to theirs. Because while the mind gets attached to stories, the soul responds only to frequency. When someone's presence feels like peace, that's alignment. When it feels like confusion, that's your first red flag. We often stay because we're addicted to potential. We tell ourselves that maybe the dissonance will fade once we understand them better, or once they heal. But the truth doesn't evolve through hope. It reveals itself through vibration. Think of it. How many times have you ignored that uneasy feeling, only to later say, I knew it, I felt it from the start? That feeling is your energetic intelligence, the part of you that sees beyond personality and hears beyond language. It doesn't analyze, it just knows. The moment you stop questioning it, you stop walking blindly into pain disguised as connection. When someone's energy is genuine, it nourishes you even in silence. There's no tension to decode, no emotional fog to walk through. You feel lighter, clearer, more yourself. But when the energy is deceptive, it drains you. You leave interactions feeling small, foggy, or anxious. Sometimes it's not what they said, it's what they took from the room. You feel it in your body because energy, unlike words, leaves residue. Your soul has always been fluent in this language, but the noise of the world taught you to doubt it. Society calls it being too sensitive, too emotional, too intuitive. But sensitivity is not a flaw. It's an antenna tuned to the truth. The more awake you become, the more unbearable dishonesty feels. You can't unsee it. You can't unknow it. You just start to recognize that not every smiling face carries warmth, and not every calm voice speaks peace. Here's the paradox of awakening. The more conscious you become, the lonelier the truth feels at first, because you start to sense how much of what people say isn't real. You begin to see the subtle performance that runs the world. People pretending connection while fearing intimacy, performing care while seeking validation. It hurts because it strips away the comforting illusion that everyone means well. But that illusion was never love. It was blindness dressed as hope. The energy of truth is rarely comfortable, but it's always liberating. It frees you from needing to explain yourself. It frees you from chasing approval, from begging for clarity, from trying to fix the ones whose vibration keeps dimming your own. When someone's energy feels wrong, it's not your job to rationalize it, it's your job to listen. Not everyone who crosses your path is meant to stay. Some appear only to remind you what misalignment feels like, so you never mistake it for love again. So the next time you feel that strange heaviness around someone, the kind that doesn't make sense, don't dismiss it. Don't silence it with reason or drown it in empathy. Simply observe. Notice how your body reacts. Does your breath shorten? Does your mind feel noisy? Do you feel you must perform to stay safe? That's not connection. That's energetic self-defense. And when someone's presence feels like exhaling, like you can just exist without effort, that's truth. That's alignment. Real love doesn't create confusion. It quiets it. Real connection doesn't drain your light. It expands it. You don't need to confront anyone to know their truth. Just watch how your spirit feels around them. Energy reveals everything, long before words ever try to explain it. And maybe that's the most crucial lesson of all. You don't need to understand why someone feels wrong to know they are. The body knows. The soul knows. It's the mind that keeps asking for proof. The compassion trap. It's one of the most painful ironies of awakening. The deeper your compassion grows, the easier it becomes to overlook the truth that's quietly hurting you. Spiritually aware, souls often don't get deceived because they're blind. They get deceived because they see too much. They see the pain behind someone's cruelty, the insecurity beneath their arrogance, the trauma beneath their manipulation. And instead of walking away, they stay. They stay because their empathy convinces them that love can heal what only awareness can reveal. You tell yourself they just need understanding. They've been through so much. You translate red flags into cries for help, wounds into reasons to stay, distance into fear of intimacy. You see the inner child inside them and forget the adult they've become. You begin to feel responsible for their evolution. as if your love is the missing medicine that will turn them into the person you once imagined. But love cannot awaken those who are committed to sleeping. Compassion cannot reach those who use your empathy as a shield against accountability. This is the compassion trap, the sacred wound of those who feel too deeply. You keep forgiving people who are not changing. You keep rationalizing actions that silence your intuition. You keep calling chaos connection because the idea of giving up feels cruel. But there's nothing cruel about protecting your peace. In truth, enabling someone's unconsciousness is not kindness. It's self-abandonment wrapped in virtue. We mistake spiritual growth for self-sacrifice. We think being kind means being boundaryless. We confuse enlightenment with enduring pain gracefully. But awareness doesn't ask you to stay in harmful situations. It asks you to see them clearly. True compassion is not about saving someone from their shadows. It's about refusing to let their shadows consume your light. Think about it. How many times have you silenced your own needs in the name of understanding? How often have you let someone's excuses become louder than your intuition? How often have you told yourself that love means patience, even when that patience is killing your spirit? The heart that feels everything easily forgets that discernment is also a form of love. Love for yourself and even love for them, because truth liberates both giver and receiver. The compassion trap begins the moment you start explaining away someone's true nature. You say things like, they didn't mean it, or they're just healing. You let them cross boundaries under the illusion that forgiveness equals peace. But every time you do, you teach them that their behavior costs nothing. You teach them that your empathy is endless, that your silence is safety, that your soul is a sanctuary for their chaos, and little by little you disappear. Not dramatically, but spiritually. The awakened heart must learn a hard truth. Not everyone's suffering is your assignment. You can witness their pain without carrying it. You can wish them healing without participating in their cycles. You can see their goodness without denying their darkness. The moment you begin to love with awareness instead of attachment, you escape the compassion trap. Compassion without boundaries isn't virtue. It's vulnerability misunderstood. You were never meant to destroy yourself proving your love. You were meant to embody love, love that includes wisdom, intuition, and self-respect. When someone's presence constantly requires you to shrink, explain, or fix, that's not compassion anymore. That's control disguised as care. It's beautiful that you can see people's wounds. It's divine that you can hold space for their healing. But healing doesn't mean holding on. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let them face the truth without your cushioning presence. Love that saves everyone but you is not sacred. It's self-erasure. And maybe that's what awakening really teaches. That compassion is not about always saying yes, but about knowing when to say enough. The universe doesn't reward endless giving, it rewards aligned giving. When you begin to honor your boundaries, you'll notice something miraculous. Your energy returns, your peace expands, your empathy sharpens. You begin to sense the difference between a soul that's learning and a soul that's feeding. You'll realize that love without discernment is just emotional charity. It feels noble, but it keeps both people stuck. To truly love is to see clearly, to recognize when your care is no longer healing but enabling. Sometimes the most compassionate act is to walk away, not from love, but from illusion. So, the next time your empathy begs you to stay, pause and ask, am I helping them grow or am I protecting them from the consequences that would teach them? Am I practicing compassion or am I afraid of being seen as unkind? Am I giving from strength or from guilt? The answers will not come from logic, but from that same quiet, knowing you once silenced. And when you finally listen to it, you'll discover that real compassion is not soft, it's sacred. It doesn't destroy itself to prove love. It radiates truth to invite it. Because when you love with awareness, you no longer fall into the compassion trap. You rise out of it into clarity, freedom, and peace. Thank you for staying with this journey. You've explored the subtle truths hidden behind kindness, energy, and compassion. You've witnessed how intuition speaks, how awareness can feel heavy, and how clarity, though sometimes lonely, brings freedom. Remember, not everyone is meant to stay in your life, and not every soul will vibrate at the same frequency as yours. That doesn't make you unkind or them unworthy. It simply means your awareness has grown, and your peace matters. Take a moment to breathe. Feel the space around you. Know that every step towards seeing clearly is a step towards self-love, discernment, and authentic connection. You no longer need to carry illusions or compromise your energy for the sake of appearances. As you move forward, let clarity guide your heart, boundaries protect your light, and compassion flow without attachment. The world may remain imperfect, but your inner world can be a sanctuary. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with anyone who needs a gentle reminder that seeing clearly is the first step toward true peace. Remember, clarity is not coldness, it is freedom, it is love, it is you fully awake.